Breaking news, Big Pharma owns the media and they bought it with your money that your governments gave to them.
Really?
Oh, yes. Are you thrilled yet? I know I am.
Yay.
Let's have a look at the revenue that the companies who have been making the vaccines have been cashing in on. And again, where does this money come from? It doesn't come from you because the governments have been providing these vaccines for free, coercing you into taking vaccines. In fact, with your own money that has been taken in trust from your children. How nice of them. So Moderna, the revenue is just staggering, by the way. It's a staggering amount of money, right? So during the previous quarter, Moderna's earnings on their shares were 4.97 billion overall, and the COVID vaccine out of that was 4.81 billion.
Oh my God.
So it's 99% plus of their revenue is vaccines at this point.
My heart bleeds, literally.
Yeah. And the thing is, they were expecting more. They were expecting 6.2 billion in sales and only got 4.97 billion in sales. Don't know how they can cope.
Poor them.
Yeah, they missed out on so many yachts. Too many private islands are being unsold to Moderna executives. And so, yeah, this is mad, isn't it? Let's go on to Pfizer. Pfizer's been staggering too, as CNN point out. Pfizer reported that its earnings and sales have more than doubled in the past quarter and raised its outlook and the results for the full year thanks to its COVID-19 vaccine. The adjusted earnings were up 133% from the previous year. Their revenue was up by 134%, to 24.1 billion.
It's just unbelievable.
It's such a huge amount of money. And of course, this goes past Pfizer's analysts who expected far less, actually. And so this is mad, right? Their other revenue outside of COVID accounted for a modest 7% of their income. So 93% of Pfizer's income is COVID.
This pandemic is the best thing that's ever happened to pharmaceuticals, isn't it?
Yes. Bear that in mind.
They'll be ordering another one soon.
They will. Go to Johnson & Johnson. They made huge amounts of money, but not as much, of course. Only 502 million in global sales from COVID vaccines. And that's in one quarter, by the way. These are in one quarter. So the previous quarter. So Johnson & Johnson are making like 2 billion a year now. But anyway, so they sold only $776 million worth of the vaccine in the 9-month period that ended last month. So, not as good as Pfizer. You should have got in there and really worked the capitalism.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah. But their full COVID-19 sales for the previous year were 2.5 billion, though. So it's not just that. But so not as good for them. And then we go to AstraZeneca, the British one, who didn't make a profit.
None at all?
Not really. They've started to move towards a for-profit basis for the sale of their vaccine, though. Because AstraZeneca, the vaccine developed in Oxford, they had gone for a non-profit model out of philanthropic motives.
Oh. What's the catch?
There doesn't appear to be one, actually.
Really?
The AstraZeneca vaccine seems to be the only one that wasn't done for profit. The chief executive, Pascal Soriot, said that the disease was becoming endemic and therefore they're actually going to move into a for-profit model now, because basically they're saying we're just going to have to live with it. But he said, we decided to have it no profit because our top priority was to protect global health.
As it should.
And I believe him as well. If your vaccine was literally developed and sold without making a profit, then that's the proof that I would require.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And he told the BBC he had absolutely no regrets about making it not-for-profit when his competitors have, of course, been raking in unbelievable sums of money, and because he has saved millions of lives around the world. Well, good for him. We're proud of the company we've done, and to be fair, I think he is right. I think it is endemic now. I don't think there's anything wrong with him now moving into a for-profit model, since they've done the job they said they were going to do. But the point is, AstraZeneca aside, every other drugs company here has been just raking in literally Smaug levels of wealth from this vaccine, and people don't trust them, and they are right not to trust them. 70% of voters in the US say that Big Pharma has too much influence. So Rasmussen give more reliable surveys than most because they do telephone surveys. They don't just do email surveys, internet, social media ones. And so they did a national telephone and online survey and found 53% of likely US voters don't trust them, including 19% who don't trust them at all. Only 6% of Americans say they trust major drug makers a lot, while 36% of voters somewhat trust them. So 42% overall are frankly out of touch. But the thing is, how does this combine and interface with people's trust in media? Well, people don't trust the media at all. If we go to the next one, the United States actually ranks last in media trust, with only 29% out of a survey of 92,000 people in America having any trust in the news. 71%, 2/3 of the country, are like, yeah, the media's lying.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No. 70% of the people in America, yeah, the pharmaceutical companies can't be trusted. Wouldn't it be nice if we merged the pharmaceutical companies with the media?
Wouldn't it just?
That'd really rock it with people's trust.
And again, hasn't that arguably already happened?
Oh, yeah. Go to the next one. You can actually see direct...
Oh, golly.
Yes, direct linkages, in fact. Not just, we're spending money. No. This is a Reuters chairman who is a Pfizer investor and board member. He owns Reuters, and he's on the board of Pfizer. And as they say, Reuters has published more than 22,000 articles mentioning Pfizer in the last year.
Mm.
Isn't that interesting? So I went and checked that out because I was like, that can't be true. No, if you go to Pfizer's website, there's James Smith. 57 years old. Likes long walks on the beach. Currently a member of the International Business Council and the World Economic Forum. When he's not watching old episodes of Friends. I don't really know what else they put in his bio. But he's on the World Economic Forum, an International Advisory Board of British American Business, and the Atlantic Council. How nice. So these are this is one of the masters of the world now.
Yes. And
so you can see this direct fusion of media and pharmaceutical companies, which is why the media are very rarely and very reluctantly publish anything that might be considered to be negative about their vaccines. And I can say their vaccines because it's literally the same people. And of course, this is just the very nakedness of the direct linkages between the media and the pharmaceuticals. But we know that there's a massive economic relationship between them because of montages like this.
Is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports
see,
update brought to you by
this is why
Pfizer.
Cyberpunk never worked.
Data download.
It's
brought
here.
To you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer. On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Just keep going. So, just to be clear, right, the American government has taken your money, given it to a massive pharmaceutical company, and the pharmaceutical company has used it to buy the media, and the media is then creating a panic around this pandemic that is encouraging the American government to spend more of your money with the pharmaceutical company. Welcome to the future.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site.
We've got loads on there, and it's all really, really good. For example, we have regular premium articles that discuss contemporary events, and we have an audio track for our silver and gold tier members. And of course, we have our regular series on there. We've got Contemplations, which is Josh and whoever he wants to have talk to him about a particular topic. On this one, he's talking about talking to Bo, about in-group preference. Moving on. Bo and myself also do the Epoch series, which says talking about history. This one's Belisarius Part 3, because Belisarius was a 6th century Byzantine general, and he had an amazing career and a genuinely tragic end. And the myth of him is old blind Belisarius begging on the streets of Rome would have been better than what happened to him, but I won't spoil it. I'll let you I'll let you find out. And of course, we do our regular book club as well this week's or this month's. I don't know how often we do them actually. Fairly regularly. It takes a while to read a book. But this is Callum doing John Stuart Mill's On Liberty, in which I rail against utilitarianism. I used to be a huge fan of John Stuart Mill, like 5-10 years ago. And since then, I've really soured on utilitarianism. And so the framing of his arguments, I find kind of insufferable. He's not wrong in what he's arguing for, but it's the way he's doing it. But anyway, we also do a bunch of premium podcasts, things that are entertaining, we think, like the politics of Star Trek that I did with John, talking about, well, is Star Trek a socialist paradise or not? It turns out it's not, but it's, it's something different. Post-scarcity liberalism, basically. But that's a really good podcast. And we also have to put up things on the website that we can't actually put on YouTube because YouTube has editorial policies about things such as where all these heart attacks are coming from. Giant elephant in the room. It's probably climate change. Don't worry about it. We also have fascinating interviews from really interesting people, such as this one, which is an activist called Luke Avery, who's a Christian, but don't worry, he's not Bible thumping in this. What he's doing is talking about the ancient wisdom in the biblical book of Proverbs, and it's very much daddish sort of stuff, and I really enjoyed doing this one. And I think I'll have him back in, hopefully, to do another one, Ecclesiastes or something, and hopefully we'll do another one soon.
And if you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on getter.com. I love the phrase and getter doing, something like that. I don't know.
You're doing really well on there, though, aren't you? You've got like 11,000 followers.
So come follow me on Getter, come follow you on Getter.
Yeah. And lotuseast.com on Getter.
Lotuses_com on there. Let's go check that out. And also the conference itself. So this is a conference being put on by the Getter guys. This is on the December the 8th. So update on this, the Getter conference has been postponed until further notice. We will let people know as soon as we have more information. Apparently it was postponed thanks to the global freakout in response to the Omicron variant. So sorry about that. So if you'd like to get access to all that premium content, you can subscribe at lotuseaters.com. Thank you and goodbye.